Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Good Day for a Movie podcast. If you can see behind me, I'll be. Let's. Kale, I just said we weren't going to say that we're live, but then I realized we don't lie to our audience. We are live for this review. We did not mean to be live for this review, but like I said on the top, you're listening to the Good Day for a Movie podcast. I'm Jacob, alongside with me, Sage.
Yep.
And Tate hates this podcast, I guess. So instead of Tate, we have Kale. We also have Kale for another reason, because we are reviewing The Batman.
Woo! Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, I wish we could see you because you have a wonderful bat cowl on.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, computers like to go and do dumb things and not work. So yes, we are technically live on YouTube. The only reason we're live on YouTube is because none of us have a mixing board for us to record all of this audio on not live. So this way I can just rip it right from YouTube. We are also recording this is Friday night, March 11th. The Mountain West tournament is going on. Wyoming is currently playing Boise State and they are down 10-2. So this should be a really fun night for me. Yeah. So that's fun. I'm having fun here. But yes, we are doing, I think it's our first 2022 special. The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, directed by Matt Reeves, written by Matt Reeves and Peter Craig, also starring Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright, Colin Farrell, Paul Dano, John Turturro, Peter Skarsgård, and Andy Serkis. Lots of other people in there, but those are the big ones. Before we get into this review, Sage, I know you are not a Robert Pattinson fan.
I am not.
Explain to me your feelings before you saw this movie about the Batman in general and going to a movie theater in general.
Well, I think Christian Bale's and Christopher Nolan's Batmans were groundbreaking for superhero movies. They were a total shift in almost making superhero movies realistic in a weird way. And Christian Bale he was Batman for me. Like, he caught it perfectly. Like, the old Batmans, almost Michael Keaton and George Clooney were almost Jacob's gonna hate that I'm gonna say this, but
wow.
Oh, you took a screenshot. I thought you were.
He did. In. That's a great move, Kale. That is a great move.
Yeah. I do what I can.
But like, Michael Keaton and George Clooney were kind of hallmarky. They were like, just like, I wish I could find an adjective other than saying hallmarky or very hallmark, but like very theatrical, I guess. And Christian Bale kind of like got rugged, and so to Robert Pattinson, one reason I don't like him as an actor very much is he totally put himself in the terrible vampire movies. And
Twilight.
He's doing everything possible to get out of that corner, and to me, he's just trying too hard, and he's just trying too hard. And so I think this whole Batman role, for some reason, a lot of people love Robert Pattinson. I don't know why. I will never understand that, but I'm sure he's just like a favorite right now, so that's why they cast him. So my feelings, this is a long monologue, but it is going to be very, very hard for him to ever even match Christian Bale as Batman. And it's going to be, so just knowing that he can't really be the best in my head, can he be good enough? That was the question for this movie, and probably for all the other movies with him moving forward.
Yeah, Kale, what are your thoughts generally about the character of Batman, Robert Pattinson getting this role, and kind of your anticipation for this movie?
I was excited. I mean, just watching the trailers over the last few months come out, it just seemed really dark and edgy and Batman, and it seemed like Gotham was truly that just dark, dangerous place, and I was really excited about it. I don't know. I was kind of with Sage. I wasn't super excited about Robert Pattinson. He wouldn't have been my first choice in all the actors out there. But considering what Ben Affleck brought to the game, I was ready for something new. But I'm with you, Sage. I mean, the Batman series with Christian Bale, that's just so hard to beat. It's such a high tier, just even as just a movie trilogy, in my opinion, that I can only compare it to that, and that's a pretty high expectation. So I was excited. I thought it was going to be just a different take, a different look at him, and not kind of the same old what we've got in the past. So I was excited, I guess.
That is a good point. This is very fortunate for Robert Pattinson that it came after Affleck, because now everyone's standards dropped very low after those.
I got to disagree. I thought, and so this is something that is interesting that kind of happened. I don't know if it was just with Zack Snyder's Justice League, but even before that, people kind of started to gain an appreciation for Ben Affleck's Batman, which I don't fully agree with. I don't think he was necessarily great, but I think he was good enough. And we really, I don't know, we didn't get a whole lot of Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne type of development like we did in this movie with Batman. We won't spoil that, but I fully agree with you guys. Christian Bale, the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy is the number one probably superhero series out there, including Marvel. It just is a step above the rest. But I think I liked Ben Affleck's both Batman and Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck brought a sort of, his Batman enjoyed doing the things that he was doing to his victims, and I use victims purposefully there.
Like the branding and things he did.
Yeah, Christian Bale's Batman does this thing where he doesn't necessarily like being Batman. He doesn't like that he needs to be Batman, and his Bruce Wayne was fantastic. It was everything with that, and that's attributed to both Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale. Everything that had to do with Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne was purposeful. We see him walking into hotels with beautiful women on his arm, just being a total douchebag, and then making a ruckus of the place and saying, fuck it, I'm gonna buy this whole hotel. Right. And that's a purposeful thing to kind of show that dichotomy between Batman, Bruce Wayne. Like, let's make a distinction here, not only just for the film goers to be like, okay, he's in his life, he's playing two different parts, just like Christian Bale is playing two different parts or whatever that may be, but also to throw the people of Gotham off of Bruce Wayne's tracks that he's Batman. We're going to touch on that on the other side here shortly. I was excited for this movie a lot. I think Matt Reeves is awesome. I really haven't seen all that much stuff that he's done, but he was behind the last two Planet of the Apes movies that came out in 2014 and 2017, which I have not seen, but I've seen bits and pieces of them, and they're good from what I've seen, and everybody really talks him up a lot. I am a fan of Robert Pattinson. I think he has a really good range as an actor. He doesn't always just have to be this brooding type of guy. He has some real charisma that comes along with him, especially in like Tenet. Is probably where you get to see that the best. But yeah, so my hopes were relatively high for this movie. But yeah, so I let's throw it to the other side and let's get into this thing. Ooh. We'll see you on the other side. All right. Sage, how was your movie theater going experience?
It was okay. So I was trying to go to the bistro, but every showtime was like completely sold out except for like one seat, and I was like, okay. I always have to go to the bathroom in the middle of movies, so it's very annoying to be at a movie theater and in the middle of the movie you have to go to the bathroom, stand up, ruin everyone's experience, go to the bathroom very, very uncomfortably quickly, and then sprint back. And yeah, so that was in my mind, and I was like, damn it. And then I saw it was 3 hours long, and I was like, oh, I'm for sure gonna have to pee at least like twice during this movie. So I was also even more upset about that. And it was snowing and cold, So I had to like go out to my car and drive to the theater. So I was nervous, but I ended up going to just a cheaper theater that only had like 3 other people in the theater, and I dehydrated myself so I didn't have to go to the bathroom. But it was just all like, as I was like getting prepared to watch the movie, I was like, I don't think I'm a movie theater person anymore. I just, especially for 3-hour movies, maybe for like hour and a half movies, no big deal. But for 3 hours, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta have like a shit ton of popcorn. I gotta be able to pause this movie. I don't want people breathing on my neck.
The lockdowns have ruined you.
Yeah.
They kind
what
of,
you're
well,
saying.
they've ruined movie theaters for me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's something that I was very grateful that I lived throughout most of the COVID lockdown in the great state of Wyoming, where our theaters never really closed. When I was living in Laramie, sure, they stopped showing new movies, but instead they just went to classics. I saw Jurassic Park, I saw Empire Strikes Back, I saw Indiana Jones.
Cool.
Yeah, so the theater experience never really left me. I still love going to the movie theater, obviously. Even though I do have a fucking awesome, pretty much home theater type of environment here. I've gotten the surround sound, Dolby Atmos sound bar, nice 65-inch 4K TV. It's none of it's the highest quality of stuff, but for a small space, it works really well.
Yeah.
But I still love going to the theater because I like the communal experience, especially on these big movies, of seeing it with a bunch of people. My showtime was packed. It went 7:00 Thursday. That's how I like it.
Yeah.
And really, I go by myself to most movies. I was doing that. I was like, oh, there's a single seat. I'm going to take that one, and we're going to plop myself down with a large drink and a medium popcorn, and I'm going to finish the popcorn before we ever see Bruce Wayne's face. And then I definitely had to pee really, really badly with about 45 minutes left, but I was like, I can't do it. I'm going to miss something, and I don't know if I'll have another 3 hours to go back and sit down and watch this movie again. So I don't miss that part.
Always need to
Kale,
movies.
How is the movie theater going experience, and how are the movie theaters down there in Georgia?
It was good. We went on Saturday and the first opening weekend last weekend, and it was good. I mean, it was packed. It was definitely something that I was concerned about with the length of 3 hours. Sage, I was right there with you. We went out for a couple of beers beforehand, and I was like, oof, I can't drink too much because I'm gonna be
You were dancing with the devil there.
I know. They were big beers, but
that's psychotic.
I held it the whole time. I was proud of myself. I actually got a double whiskey on the way in. There's like a little bar in our so I got a little double whiskey to go in, and I noticed a lot of people in the theater got up to go to the bathroom, and it was like right towards right after maybe like 45 minutes left. There was like everyone was just kind of like, oh, this has been too long.
It's so bad. There should be an intermission. There should be here's an idea. Bring back intermissions.
Yeah, seriously.
Why not?
A 10-minute
people need to pee.
You have to build either more or bigger bathrooms in theaters, but I don't disagree. I'd be fine with an intermission.
Yeah,
if they brought back intermissions,
yeah.
Or how about this? Have some showtimes with intermissions and have some showtimes without.
Yeah. I would. 3-hour movie definitely should have an intermission.
Yeah, yeah. But other than that, it was great. I personally love going to the theaters. I've missed them. They shut down in Georgia for a few months during lockdown, and I also sometimes go to the movies by myself as well, Jacob. When Caitlin's working on the weekends and I'm by myself, and she wouldn't go see the movie with me anyways, I'm like, heck, I'm going.
Yeah.
So I love the theaters, and I don't have that great of a setup at home, and I am so distracted at home when I'm watching movies. So I love to just be completely enveloped in the film and just be there and be in it. So I love the theaters.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's I have to purposefully pay attention and not let myself get distracted when I'm at home.
Yeah.
And in the theater, you're practically forced to, as long as there's other people in the theater. Because I've like I said, I go to a lot of movies and I like going to the theater. So I've been to a lot of movies where I'm like the only person in the theater and nobody's behind me. So I was like, I can just flip out my phone. I'm just, like, it's just so bad. But anyways, let's get on to our thoughts on this movie. Kale, let's start with you. Initial thoughts on The Batman.
Great. Exceeded my expectation. I'm going to start there and I'll dive in more. The best part about that movie was when he was talking about the darkness and when the bat signal went up in the air and all the criminals were doing their criminal activities and they'd look over their shoulders and see a dark hallway or a dark entryway and they'd just freak out and run away. That gave me chills. I was like, wow, that was a perfect example of what Batman stands for. Just he can be anywhere at any time. And then that opening scene, there's a lot of things I really liked about it. There is one thing I'll talk about later that I disliked that brought me out of the movie a little bit. But overall, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Before Sage goes, I'm going to give mine because I don't know where Sage lands. And I liked it. I don't know if I can say that I loved it necessarily. There were quite a few things where it's a movie that we're like 90% sure we're going to see a lot more. It's going to become a series. It's a movie where I have to see how the others play out to know how I feel about certain things that happened with the character of Batman and Bruce Wayne in this movie. This was a strictly Batman movie. This was a detective Batman movie. Bruce Wayne did not have very much to do in this movie, which that is my main criticism of it. And the one that I'm like, if they do something with that interesting, with that in movies or series or whatever it may be going forward, I can excuse that because I can be like, well, they were setting up for this other thing. So yeah, I liked it a fair amount. It does not come really anywhere close to any of the Nolan movies. Sage, your initial thoughts?
Yeah, pales in comparison to the Nolans. But I mean, granted, that's a hard standard to meet. I'm pretty mixed on it. 95% of the reason why I watched the movie was for Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, and probably 90% of the reason why I liked the movie was because of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Outside of that, it's just pretty random. Like, there are parts that I like, Kale, that the aspect of it you were talking about, how they were introducing Batman, that was very good, and that was very promising. And kind of what you said, Chip, of how this was, because DC, correct if I'm wrong, stands for Detective Comics. Like, a lot of the original comics was like, it mixed in a lot of detective and kind of problem solving aspects to the comics, not just superheroes beating each other up. So I liked that role in the movie, but there were some parts that I very much disliked or just thought didn't fit at all. So I'm pretty mixed. I will say that my biggest criticism is that it was far too long. It definitely did not need to be 3 hours. I mean, The Dark Knight, how long was Dark Knight?
2.5, I think.
I think it was 2.5. I think it accomplished more in that 2.5. It probably accomplished twice to 3 times as much in 2.5 hours than this movie did 3.
I feel like if they would have just separated it into 2 movies, had the detective aspect of him breaking down the Falcone crime ring and all that, and really dived into that a little bit more, and then hinted at the Riddler and brought him in another movie, it would have been much better.
Yeah,
it was so strange.
It's tough when they have 3 big villains of the movie. I guess if you count Penguin as a big villain, I guess that you probably don't. He's more of a. They're obviously setting up to be one of those to take Falcone's place, Falcone, I guess. But so yes, there was a lot going on. I definitely agree that it's too long, which in and of itself is probably a pretty shallow criticism. But it was like, if you're going to make a 3-hour movie, it can't feel like 3 hours. And probably about there was probably about an hour and 15 minutes left when I looked at my phone, and I was like, holy crap, I thought there'd be like half an hour, 45 minutes left.
Yeah.
It felt very long. Let's start this thing off after our initial thoughts by Sage. Did Robert Pattinson do enough to convince you that he's a good actor, for one, and for two, that he was not miscast as the Batman?
Man, like that's a hard one because so I think as an actor and acting performance, I think he did do good. However, I don't think so. Okay, this is my biggest problem with this Batman. He felt to me like a junior high school student in their emo phase. Like he serious, like that. He's just like mopey and he was like had his hair down and greasy hair, like he looked like he hadn't showered in weeks, and he was just always like super depressed and emo and like reclusive. I was like, coming from Christopher or Christian Bale Batman, who plays it perfectly, which Jacob, you were spot on in that. The biggest part of the Bruce Wayne, I mean, it's just like Superman and oh God,
Aquaman.
Clark Kent.
Jesus, I can't believe that skipped my brain. But it's like that's the whole thing. Is your front is supposed to be like a mislead from people being able to know that you're Batman or Superman. And so Bruce Wayne, being this obnoxious, arrogant billionaire, is supposed to detract you from thinking, not this reclusive, like emo weirdo, like that never sees the light of day. Like, that's, I mean, they say that, oh, you've disappeared, we never see you anymore. Oh, maybe it's because he's Batman at night and he's sleeping through the whole, like he's the number one suspect. So that was just a major, major problem for me. Minor problem, he was kind of scrawny. Like when they did all the
scenes.
Yeah, they definitely buffed him up with the suit. With the suit, he looked jacked, but I mean, Christian Bale was like Henry Cavill. Like they're jacked. Like they fit the suit. And Jason Momoa, they fit the role. Robert Pattinson looked like he was still Twilight vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. But he did a job. So I don't know if that's like the director and writer's fault for putting him that direction and him
yes,
falling through on it.
I think it is. I think it is Matt Reeves' fault. What I thought we were going to get with this movie from Robert Pattinson is, and I should mention this. This past Tuesday on the Deucecast Extra, the Deucecast's YouTube channel, we reviewed the Batman. So there was like 5 people on that review. So some of this is going to be recycled of my own thoughts from that. And I'm going to pull some other people's thoughts that made some good points, like Garrison. Garrison made a good point about how he was hoping that this role for Robert Pattinson would show people, hey, look, I can be this charming guy. I have some suave to me. And Matt Reeves didn't give him any of that to do. Nothing even close to it.
Pretty monotone, I felt like the entire movie.
Yeah, which was a big disappointment to me. And I don't lay that on the shoulders or the feet of Robert Pattinson at all. I lay it fully on Matt Reeves. And at no point really are you feeling overly sympathetic for Batman. Not that you're supposed to, but you're also never not rooting for him, but you're never really rooting for him either. You don't really give him. They didn't really give him any reason for the audience to like get behind this Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's for me. He was not. I jumped on Christian Bale's side like that. Like he was just a very winnable Batman, but Robert Pattinson. It was just he was like he felt more like an acquaintance than a friend. It was hard to root for him. Is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, and there was also a good point made. I can't remember if it was on the Deucecast or if I heard it somewhere else. But it's that Batman as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Batman or Bruce Wayne is the alter ego.
Right.
Batman is who Bruce Wayne actually is.
Yes.
And that's like a nice dichotomy that they play on when Batman's with Superman, where Superman is I guess they're both kind of like that, I guess. So maybe I'm gonna rewind that a little bit, but so yeah, no, I completely scratch what I just said about Superman. Superman is the same way. The Superman that we see, well, actually, not even that either, really. Like, Superman is like the actual character of Superman is kind of who Kal-El is, but he's kind of a combination of Clark Kent and Superman, where Bruce Wayne and Batman are two completely different people.
Yeah, Superman's pretty dumb. He puts glasses on, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's not Superman." Oh.
Have you seen a picture? Have you seen a picture of Zooey Deschanel and without glasses?
Yeah, but
Bro.
Dude. No, I'm telling you, it's the
same
same
with Henry Cavill, man.
Yes, it is. It's.
No.
I just think it's funny. Yeah, I'm with you. Say the glasses are like
Superman's the stupidest. Yeah. But like you're totally on point with Batman. And like one of the best parts about Christian Bale is that when he leaves the Bruce Wayne, he is Batman. Like it really is that he's pretending to be Bruce Wayne, but he's
two totally different people right there.
Well, okay, one's like a red carpet, and the other is like her in an office.
One's like on set or something.
Nah,
two totally different people.
It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's all about the personality, and anyways, it's crazy. But yeah, that was one of my first thoughts about Robert Pattinson's Batman was that the whole Bruce Wayne dynamic was just completely missing, and you didn't get to see that Bruce Wayne is pretending to be Bruce Wayne to protect who he really is. But we haven't heard anything from Cale on this whole subject.
Cale, Robert Pattinson and his performance and lack of stuff.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna lead off with this, and this is why I think Robert Pattinson did a great job, and I think the director went with a specific way. I went to the movie with a good friend of mine who is very deep into the comics, reads all the offshoots, and he was actually super surprised about the movie because he was telling me that it actually follows a different comic series called Earth One, Batman Earth One. So for all you viewers out there who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, because in that he is very similar to the movie's portrayal of Batman. This recluse, this person who's all about vengeance, and by the end of the movie realizes he can be more than just somebody who's causing havoc against crime. There's a couple other things that really followed it, like Alfred with Kane and his dad running for mayor and his mom having these insinuations that she was locked up in the insane asylum for a while. So there's a lot tied to very specific comic book series that I didn't even know existed, to be honest with you. I don't read much comics, but my good friend was filling me in on it, and I was like, holy cow, that's crazy. I think he had a good performance. I agree with you. There was no difference between Robert Pattinson's Batman and Bruce Wayne. I thought there was going to be a moment. I think at one point Alfred was like, you have meetings as Bruce Wayne or something. And then they didn't even see it. Like, the guys didn't even come in. They just cut away. So maybe it was a cut scene. I don't know. But I agree with you guys. There was no difference between the two. It was the same person hiding in the shadows, whether he was in the Batcave or he was in his bat suit. So I don't fault Robert Pattinson because I think he did the best that he could with a very monotone character. But I mean, I like him. I like Robert Pattinson. I don't see him as Twilight anymore. I've seen enough of his new stuff that I don't see it as much anymore, which I appreciate. But no, he is not Christian Bale. He didn't have that kind of effect on me.
Okay, now let's talk. Well, all right. Let's just do this now. Let's get it out of the way. Let's talk Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe.
Oh my god! Major crush. I'm major crushing on Zoe Kravitz now. It's crazy.
Caitlin
She
saw
killed
this
me.
weekend. She's going to be surprised to come home to find a poster of her up in our bedroom.
Oh man.
So did you, aside from the looks and the sexiness that she oozes on screen, what did you think about the character? What did you think about her importance to the plot? And
I loved
yeah.
it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I thought she stole the show. I thought she was the
Yeah.
best one in the whole
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
She was the movie. It was fantastic. The relationship she had with Falcone, her internal plot to get revenge and why she was in the club, and yeah, her walk and her talk and her character portrayal was amazing. I really, really liked her. Everything about it.
Sorry. Her casting was the best. Her persona of her character was the best. Her follow through was the best. I would probably say her acting performance was tied, if not the best. She was Catwoman, and it definitely brought back Halle Berry Catwoman.
Yeah.
And she stupid gorgeous. There was one scene when she was giving like the lovey eyes to Robert Pattinson, and I was like, if she ever gave me those eyes in person, I would have a heart attack. Like my heart would not be able to handle that.
Okay, so then what do you guys say to some people out there, like this may have been brought up on the Deucecast Extra, that if you completely cut her character out, you'd pretty much have the same story?
No.
It'd be really easy to write around everything.
I agree with that. You could write around it. Yeah. But I think
you could, but it would be a worse movie.
Yeah, I think just
Garrison wasn't meaning that it would be a better movie necessarily, but that was I thought a valid point that she really didn't do all that much consequential to it, except for one moment where she asks him to go away with her, and he's like, "No, I have to stay here and like defend the city or whatever."
I don't know about that.
So I mentioned earlier that there's one thing about this movie that really pulled me out.
Mm-hmm.
It was the love interest between Batman and Catwoman. I don't know why. Every time they got like, I love the friction and the tension between the two characters, but as soon as they like kissed, boom, I was out. I was looking around the theater. I don't like it. And I think that's why I like so much about Christian Bale's Batman with him and Rachel. There was never anything
Rachel. Where's Rachel? Rachel. Rachel. Where's Rachel?
Exactly. Because there was nothing like physical on screen. It was just always I can't be with her to protect her or whatever. So I love that. Like he has a love interest, but he has a job first and foremost. And in this one, that's one thing that kept pulling me.
The series ends with him in love with and out on holiday with Catwoman.
Yeah, you're right. It does, doesn't it? But they weren't taken out. They were just having.
No, I don't disagree.
I put it 100% on Robert Pattinson. I don't think there was any chemistry between her and Robert Pattinson, and that was mostly coming from Robert Pattinson. I think if there was someone other than Robert Pattinson that was more suave, I think I would have felt some butterflies for sure. It would.
Yeah,
I put it on him.
I don't put it on him because what he was asked to kind of do in the movie with his relationship with her was, okay, you're first going to come across this woman because you're staring across the street through binoculars into her room watching her change. And then the next time you're going to follow her. And then you're eventually going to put contact lenses in her eyes and make her go in. Yeah. And then you guys are going to get in a fight. Like there wasn't really much suaveness that you could even bring to any of that.
So then I blame the director.
Yeah, I blame Matt Reeves for the script.
He should have known the kind of character that Pattinson's bringing, the story that he has, the darkness of it. He should have left the romance of it out and just had a hint of, is there something there? Like, leave the audience wondering. Don't let them know, but keep them in, thought about it.
with this particular Catwoman and Batman, it would have been better if it was unspoken or even like unshown.
Yeah, or
'Cause
even
it didn't-
like when they do go their separate ways, like at the very end of the movie, like do something there where she's like trying to entice him with like and like kind of like doing the little face touch thing that like a cat would do when it rubs it up against you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Something
Um,
subtle that gives you a hint that maybe in a future movie, maybe in a different time, in a different place, but not now.
I still don't see it with Robert Pattinson was just like that image of just an emo kid is still in my head, like thinking about him. Like it just
no,
It
it's spot
didn't-
on.
it
You're
didn't
absolutely
click.
right.
It just doesn't fit. Like this unbearably gorgeous Zoe Kravitz Catwoman pawing after this emo kid that couldn't care less about anything but vengeance. Like it just, yeah, it didn't fit. It should have been left out, which I think we all three agree on. But I think by leaving it in, the problem was Robert Pattinson, which could be Matt Reeves, which is what Jacob has implied, which I think is right.
Um,
Can I give you guys an overcritical thing that bothered me?
mhm.
The cowl's nose piece.
Mm.
The nose piece on Batman's cowl drove me nuts.
Cowl,
It
like
was
the
like-
mask.
Yeah, the mask.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like smooth. So like if you're looking from the side, it looks like a Batman mask with like a sharp pointed nose, you know?
Mm.
But face on, it looked like he had no nose.
Yeah, it
I
looked
can
like
see
a leather
that.
mask. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it was,
Yeah.
right? It was like a homemade looking but oh man, I don't know why that drove me nuts. I kept staring at it.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
It just
Yep.
bugged me. Like he has such a strong jawline, and he has the look. It was just and this is again a super overcritical thing that drove me nuts. So I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the thing with these superhero IP that comes from comic books and has a deep, rich history behind it. I think those are fair criticisms. I think, and like, I don't think it does for you, but like, it shouldn't necessarily be why you hate a movie. But we're seeing it with Star Wars right now. We saw it when Cad Bane came into Book of Boba Fett. People were like, oh, he's super light blue. He's supposed to be like a darker blue, and his face is supposed to be super long. And you're like, okay, yes, that is all true. That's how he was in the Clone Wars, but it doesn't detract from the character that we're seeing on the screen and the portrayal of that character being very menacing.
Yeah.
We're seeing it with the Grand Inquisitor in the Kenobi trailer that just came out this week. They're like, oh, his face is also supposed to be super long. He's supposed to have yellow eyes. And you're like, well, yes, you're not wrong, but
It shouldn't
is that
matter.
going to detract from the story? That can be like that's a thing where it knocks like 1 or 2 points out of 100 off, and which is a fair criticism. But so yeah, I don't disagree at all with that. How about Jeffrey Wright? In my opinion, probably my favorite voice going right now, besides like the Morgan Freemans and Sam Elliott's of the world.
And forgive
Just
me,
that voice is great. As playing Lieutenant James Gordon, so not quite Commissioner Gordon yet. He is the second part of the. I don't want to say buddy cop because that always comes off as a fun, silly, happy movie, but of the detective storyline. He says some iteration of Jesus Christ like every 5 minutes in this movie. Oh my God, Christ, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But I still liked the character.
I love the character. I thought he was great. I thought that was something with him just giving Batman access to crime scenes. And even in the beginning, all the other cops were like, "What are you doing here? Why are you here? Get out of here!"
Mhm.
Like freak, like making fun of him. And then by the end of it, they're like, "Oh, okay, Batman, you're here. All right, cool. Let me what do you need?" So I like the chemistry between the two, between Batman and Lieutenant Gordon. And I thought it was it wasn't playful. You're right, but it was easy. It was a natural, easy relationship between Batman and the police.
Sage,
yeah. I thought
your
he
thoughts
did
on-
a good job. I like the actor a lot, and yeah, I think
Yeah.
he was,
Okay, let's.
he was at least great. He wasn't bad or good.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, he went toe to toe with Nolan's Gordon, in my opinion, Gary Oldman. Like
Ooh,
they both could have done both roles, I think, equally well.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman is the better actor overall, but what they had to do in both these movies are about the same type of thing.
Yeah.
I'd give the nudge to Gary Oldman, but
Yeah, same here. Just because he is just a little bit better of an actor and
Yeah.
that kind of character actor where he kind of really becomes his roles.
and I think a little more
they've-
capable in action scenes in particular.
Yeah,
He also
I-
had
I-
3 movies. Keep that in mind.
yeah,
I think it's particularly the action scenes that break because Jeffrey Wright didn't really have many. Did he have any action in this besides getting punched by Batman?
Which was pretty great. I laughed pretty hard about that.
It was a good scene, but I don't think like he either walked around with a gun and then nothing happened. I don't think he did any like action. So
yeah. I mean, there was a shootout right before the Batmobile comes up.
yeah, he just ducks behind
Um,
the car and doesn't really shoot.
Yeah. Okay. My favorite part of the movie, hands down favorite part of the movie, Colin Farrell as Oz the Penguin.
Yeah.
That was
I
great.
think he's the one that I would say tied with Zoe Kravitz's like best performance and best fit.
Mhm.
I didn't know. I just saw those I was wondering who it was. I had no idea it was Colin Farrell.
I told you that multiple times in our 2021 preview, our 2022 preview, but you and Tate just don't listen to me when I speak, and that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's the Jacob filter in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't recognize him. And then I
No, unrecognizable, and I think it's a fun thing where like a lot of people, and myself included, are like, why was he even in this if it was so unrecognizable, and they were to do him up where you can't even recognize him. But then at the same time, you're like, but he was so good, and you're like, okay, well maybe that's why, because he was so good. And I guess there was a interview with either Reeves or Farrell, and they didn't mean to go as far as they went. They just kind of kept going, and they're like, this looks really good, this looks really good, this looks even better. And then by the time that it was kind of over with, they're like, oh no,
Who's this?
yeah, where'd Colin go?
Yeah.
Paul Dano, the Riddler.
Mm.
What do we think?
I'm indifferent.
Worst part of the movie. He was a serial killer terrorist. Like,
Yeah.
it was so bad. Like,
Mhm.
his outfit was horrendous. But the thing was, like, Paul Dano was a great cast for the Riddler. I think this is on Matt Reeves for 100%. Because since when was the Riddler a serial killer terrorist? Like, serial killer, I'm being serious because all his tendencies and actions throughout the movie were 100% like serial killer actions and tendencies and mentality. And he was just dressed up as a terrorist the whole time. Like, it was crazy to me. I was like, am I crazy in saying that?
No, you're right.
You are right, and you did go like kind of full robot there for a little bit, but we still could understand what you were saying. Your Wi-Fi
couldn't
is
hear
just
me?
not good right now. No, we could understand what you were saying, but it was a very robotic, metallic sounding
Okay.
rant. But I think I understood all of it.
He's-
And
yeah.
I think this is another thing brought up on the Deucecast Extra. I say that because I don't want to come off like I'm stealing their ideas. Is that one of the problems with the Riddler's costume is that you don't get to see Paul Dano do the Paul Dano things, be the weirdo that he is, or that he can act like, I should say, I guess, because I don't know if he's an actual weirdo or not. But that's all I've seen him as, is an actual weirdo, like There Will Be Blood. Weirdo.
Yeah.
And so with not really seeing him, the only time you see him is for most of the movie is when he's fully masked up and talking to a phone. So yeah, again, that probably falls on the shoulders of Matt Reeves.
Yeah, I didn't like the direction of it. I don't know. Maybe they pulled that from one of the old comic books too. Maybe that's in there as well. I just my comparison of the Riddler is it Jim Carrey who played the Riddler back in the day? Who's completely over the top, right? I mean, lime green suit, all these riddles, way over the top. But I didn't really like the Riddler character in the movie. I like the actor. I think he did good, but I didn't like the character himself. Like
The thing is, like Jim Carrey's was actually relatively close to who the Riddler was. This was like so overdone. It was crazy. Like, I mean, he
Yeah.
was like the Riddler, if I remember right, was like a cunning, like you have a choice. If you can't get this right, this person dies. But if you can, you have a chance to save them. This guy was like, I already killed the person. Now you have to figure out why. And by the way, I'm probably just going to kill another person because I'm a serial killer. And you just have to figure out who I am. Also, I'm going to dress up as if I'm a terrorist and film it and put it on social media. No aspect of it fit. No aspect of it was good. No aspect of it. The only aspect that was good was Paul Dano being cast as the Riddler, because he could have done it very, very well if it was set up right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't fully agree, but I don't fully disagree. I don't think he was like the worst thing in the movie necessarily. I guess I don't know what would be the worst thing in the movie if he's not, but I just think. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was I'm not a comic reader. I've read like maybe 10 comics in my entire life, and the only DC comic I read was like half of a Crisis comic. So I don't have that reference of who the Riddler is supposed to be. All I have for reference is the Jim Carrey version, and I can tell you for sure that I like this Riddler more than the Jim Carrey Riddler. Yeah, I don't have much else to add.
It's like there's something missing, and I can't quite put my thoughts on exactly what was missing from that character, but I feel like they just missed, or maybe they just didn't give enough of it. Maybe, and that was something I thought too. There was just too many bad things, too many bad people happening. I know it's 3 hours, but even then, who are we chasing? Who's the bad guy? What are we doing right now? Maybe that was what it was. It just needed more focus. I don't know.
I think what they tried to do was what Christopher Nolan did with the Joker. The Joker was like kind of a maniacal, laughing villain, and they made him dark. And they tried to do that with the Riddler, but they went way overkill. I mean, way, way overkill. Like they just tried way too hard to the point where it wasn't scary. It wasn't.
And like
Heath Ledger, like scared you, but
he scared you, and he was entertaining.
Yeah.
And like this one, he wasn't necessarily scary like Heath Ledger was as the Joker, but he wasn't entertaining whatsoever either.
No entertainment value in him for me. Like
when you're watching Heath Ledger's Joker, you're like, holy shit, what am I watching right now? This is like a brilliant scene of acting that's happening before my eyes right now. With Paul Dano, you're like, he's playing this is a crazy person, and that's kind of all you get from it. Any more on the Riddler?
Mm-mm.
So let's move into the kind of, I guess, final villain is of Carmine Falcone. Falcone, I don't know how
one of the two
you're supposed to say his name. Played by John Turturro. He was fine. I don't think we necessarily have a whole lot to cover on this one. A lot of people seem to be saying online, John Turturro was so awesome. I love him. He's great. I thought he was fine. Kind of the least important villain of the movie that was kind of the most important villain. To Batman, at least.
I thought he did his job. I thought he did what he needed to do. He got in, got out. It didn't. His performance doesn't stand out to me in my memory of the movie. There are definitely other things that I grasped onto harder, but I thought he did great, and I thought his villain character was interesting, and I liked how they tied him back to Batman's dad. I can't. What is his dad's name? Thomas Wayne, and making the favor for Martha, and I thought that was really interesting and clever, and I thought
I am very glad that they didn't make Thomas Wayne be actually be a bad guy.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been horrible horrible move, because that's kind of the whole point of like the Batman or Bruce Wayne Thomas Wayne relationship, Batman Thomas Wayne relationship, is he's trying to live up to be the person that his dad was, and that his dad was trying to save the city, and that is kind of what's driving him.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that they didn't make him actually bad, that he just messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole Alfred scene was very important, even though that was crazy. Like, he just wakes up from surgery or coma or whatever, and then he's like, "Oh, I can have a coherent conversation."
Yeah.
That's-
But
let me come out of a coma. You lied to me.
yeah, you looked at me. Yeah, not. Oh, you're okay. But yeah, he was fine. I thought that. I just thought like the whole drama around the critical plot line was so overblown. It was like Cantone covered up this big thing and got someone killed, and it's gonna change everything. I was like, this city's corrupt as fuck. Like, this is like probably 3 or 4 out of 10 of like dramatic shit that's going on in this city.
Yeah.
This does not seem like a really big deal, honestly. Like, why he's the rat and he has the information that's going to change it all. Like, oh, you're going to tell me that everyone in this renewal program's corrupt? I bet you 8 out of 10 people in Gotham could tell you that it was corrupt as fuck. It was just very controlled. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the whole drama around that was totally out of place and missing. It was, I mean, realistic, but not dramatic at all. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, this doesn't seem compelling at all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did have a good segue there, but I forgot you didn't give your thoughts on Carmine Falcone, because you brought up Alfred. So let's talk about an Alfred that we do not see very much of, which goes into, it's the same. The reason we don't see very much of him is because we have like 2 or 3 scenes with Bruce Wayne.
Right.
So
what is that actor's name? Do you guys know?
Andy Serkis. Yeah.
Yes.
He played Gollum. He played the
guy in Avengers.
Yeah, he was
that like arms dealer dude.
Fist.
Yeah. I like him.
God, what the hell is his name?
His acting.
That he also played Caesar in the Planet of the Apes movies. What the fuck is his name in the Marvel movies? Golly, Ulysses Claw. Not Fist.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I like that he's getting screen time. He's a guy that pretty much built up the motion capture technology. He's not just that he was one of the first ones to do it. Now, technically, Ahmad Best did it before he did in The Phantom Menace, before he did Gollum and Lord of the Rings. But he also has helped, I think, develop a lot of it, and he helps train a lot of people on how to do it and whatnot as well. He was a fine Alfred. We didn't get a lot of them. I thought Robbie Fox from My Mom's Basement, a Barstool podcast, put this very well. I think it was actually on Lights Camera Barstool that he said this, but he's the only Alfred that we've seen that you're like, oh, that guy's probably killed multiple people before.
Yeah.
Which is important, because I think there's a line in here about Alfred saying to Bruce that I trained you. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you guys have any thoughts on him?
He was average to me. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad.
I wish he would have got more screen time. I'd be willing to bet that there is screen footage of him that they left on the cutting floor that didn't make the movie. So I'd be excited to see if they had an extended cut with deleted scenes. I bet he would be in those somewhere.
Now, there's a good segue. Thank you, Kale. There is definitely one deleted scene that Matt Reeves has said we will get to see at some point. It was with Batman interrogating and questioning the Joker. but the character was not the full on Joker yet. It was kind of a Silence of the Lamb situation where he's like, hey, I need to get in the mind of this crazy person. Help me. That was cut, but we did still get to see
A brief glimpse of the Joker.
yes. I'm trying to find the actor's name.
I couldn't even tell you who it was.
I think Charlie Carver. Is it supposed to be Charlie Carver?
Say what? Who?
Is this supposed to be Charlie Carver?
No, Barry Keoghan. There we go. Yes. He was in Dunkirk. He was George in Dunkirk. If you saw The Green Knight, he was in that. He was Druig in The Eternals. I'll pull up his picture here. You'll recognize him.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Could be a good Joker. He's a weirdo. He's a kind of scary guy. He's a freaky looking dude.
He was in Eternals. Yeah. Interesting.
My hope for them using the Joker in the future is that they don't do it the next movie. I hope they wait a couple if they ever do use the Joker, because I think you got to give the Joker a little time. Since Heath Ledger, we've had Jared Leto play the Joker, and we've had Joaquin Phoenix play the Joker, which I was not a fan of the Joker movie anyways. So
I did like that one, but
I'm with Jacob on that one. I mean, Jared Leto was an abomination. Yes. Jared Leto and M. Night Shyamalan should both retire from movies.
I disagree. I like Jared Leto a lot. He plays some out there guys and characters, but I did not like his version of the Joker.
Boy, I thought you were going to say you liked it.
I did too. I was scared.
No.
I was very scared.
The only thing I like about the Joker in that sense is that he'd sometimes stand next to Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, anything on characters that we didn't cover? Any other character points you would like to bring up before we move on?
Yes, it's hard to even think about Margot Robbie with Zoe Kravitz in my head.
I do have one character that we haven't talked about that I definitely need to talk about, and that is the Batmobile.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
We should.
Let's do that.
Loved that Batmobile. Oh, when it started up and had the demon squealing and the engine revving, and all you could see was the heat from the engine and some flames popping out here and there. Oh, I'm a car guy. I love engines. That got me going. I loved it.
Yeah, I also like the Batmobile. When that engine started roaring, the whole theater shook. It was awesome. It might be my favorite Batmobile, in all honesty. Sure. Like, don't get me wrong, the Tumbler is awesome, but it's awesome in a different way.
Yeah.
This universe that they have in the Batman is very much a low technology universe.
Yeah. Handmade. Everything's handmade, right? His mask, his Batmobile. Love it.
It was when it was in the dark, it was dope as fuck. And then once it came out in the light, it looked like a dune buggy. So I'm torn on it. I loved and I'm 100% with you on the engine and the fire in the back, but I thought it would be reminiscent of the Batmobile. And then came out and it looked like a dune buggy, and I was underwhelmed.
I was also disappointed that in the trailer we got the going through fire scene. Because that was a cool scene, but unfortunately it was practically just spoiled for us because we'd already seen it if you'd watched the trailer.
There's so many good parts you can put in that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay, now here's probably my most controversial opinion on this episode so far. I thought the score from Michael Giacchino was extremely average, if not below average.
Agreed.
People are loving it.
The music. It wasn't that good.
Yeah, people are just absolutely loving it. The whole the Batman theme, I guess. I think it's the Batman theme. Is like whenever he's like doing the walking thing and like moving slowly, it's just the Imperial March, but it doesn't finish. It's the da 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 da, and it doesn't even do the da da, just da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought that in the theater too. I was like, not digging this at all. I actually dislike that theme. The rest of it was fine, but that one I did not like whatsoever.
Again, comparing it to Christopher Nolan's, didn't Hans Zimmer
Mhm.
do theirs?
I mean,
I
that's
have
like
I have it on my
Yeah.
phone. I listen to it when I like need inspiration. It brings like so much out of me, and just in comparison, they're not even in the same universe.
yeah,
as far
that's
as
like me
goes.
playing Lionel Messi in 1v1 soccer. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way. There's
Look,
no
and
way he's gonna beat Hans Zimmer.
I don't think we can be doing this to Michael Giacchino because he rocks. He is a good composer. He did Rogue One. I'm pretty sure he did Up, Ratatouille, Star Trek. I think he did The Incredibles as well.
Star Trek, like with Chris Pine.
Yes, and he did The Incredibles. The Incredibles is an awesome score.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
all those movies did have really good.
He did Medal of Honor, the video game, which had an awesome score. Mission Impossible 3. He did not do the original Mission
That's the
Impossible,
best
but
Mission Impossible.
yeah. So he is a good composer. I think he is. I don't know if you can say he's just as good as Hans Zimmer, but I
Hans
I
Zimmer's
think
God.
they're in the same conversation. Neither of them are in the same conversation as John Williams, obviously.
No,
Mhm.
no,
I like Hans.
Yes.
no,
No, John Williams is far superior.
no, not
Yeah.
first Fury. No,
Yes. Indiana Jones, Home Alone, Star Wars, Superman,
Yeah, those are pretty.
Home Alone.
all of those movies scream Jacob, so obviously they're going to be biased in your brain.
No, those are very iconic theme songs. You
Those
hear
are-
those and
I
you
mean,
know.
yeah,
Jurassic
but-
Park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
like
the reason.
he's like the
he's-
he's like the Palin of scores, and Hans Zimmer's like the Lionel Messi.
I don't know soccer, so I don't get the reference. But
I appreciate the reference.
if you want to call John Williams the Jordan of scores and Hans Zimmer the LeBron, fine.
No.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree.
That's fine. There's no breaking that. Yeah, that's an agree to disagree.
But this dude's, whoever you said, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, that did this. The
Michael
Batman.
Giacchino.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that good. It was okay, but
It was very
wasn't that-
forgetful.
Yeah, agreed. Did we talk about the Batcave at all?
No, we have not. It was good.
It had bats.
It did have bats.
Like
Yeah,
the
it
last
wasn't-
one we saw.
It
Sorry,
wasn't
just
as cool as
fast.
Nolan's, but I think it was more in line with what the actual Batcave is supposed to be. So I liked it for that reason.
I thought it was refreshing, and then I remembered what Christopher Nolan's looked like, and I did like that one too. But when going into it, thinking Batcave, I was thinking of the most recent one, the
Affleck.
Affleck's Batcave, which is like
I
basically,
can't even remember what his looks like.
it's like a
be
garage.
honest.
Remember, and then it has like
Oh.
Robin's outfit that's like hanging there or whatever. It's like
Kinda.
a really fancy garage. It's not a Batcave. So I actually really did like this one. It
Yeah,
was like
I would.
2
Yeah,
seconds you were in there, but
I'd agree. I'd say I really liked this one as well. I think Christopher Nolan's was the coolest, but I don't think it was the best Batcave.
what about his voice? How do you guys feel about his voice? Like that's a
It was the
classic
Christian
Batman.
Bale voice. Yeah, it was the same. It was the same voice Christian Bale was doing, just not quite as deep and growly.
I have a theory. If you take Christian Bale's like, "Where's Rachel?" and you just whisper it, "Where's Rachel?" That's him. That's Pattinson right there. Just kind of whispering it a little bit more.
Mhm.
Not as deep. You're right. Not as loud. But no voice changer. because Affleck had a voice changer.
That's true. Man, I'm just not familiar with those DCEU movies enough to. Man of Steel, I am, because I've seen it a few times, and I know exactly why I don't like it. The other like Ben Affleck DCEU movies, I just haven't seen enough. I've seen, I think, each of them maybe once, maybe twice, so I can't overly comment on. I didn't. Once you said he had a voice changer, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, he did. But yeah,
I was just trying to think of like the iconic Batman things. What is Batman, and try to compare them.
Yeah, the whole I am vengeance thing was an interesting plot point. I guess we can kind of move into some plot here and then wrap things up. At the end, the Riddler soldier guy, who are you? I'm vengeance. And Batman being like, but I was saying I was vengeance. It was fine. Like I get what they were going for. Batman shouldn't be for vengeance. I agree. But he's not necessarily the hope figure either. That's Superman. Batman is the justice.
Yeah.
He stands for justice. Superman's the one that kind of stands for hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's the kind of Batman's the blind, brutal justice that Gotham needs.
Yeah, he's like,
Superman's the hope, truth. What the hell's the saying? Truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah,
and the S stands for hope. I don't necessarily. I'm interested to see where they go with that in future projects with in this universe, because if they try to make him like, if we see like the opening shot is him helping kids cross the street or get cats out of trees, I'm going to be like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I
absolutely agree.
I think plot wise, if you would have, like I said, I think there's two movies here that they smushed together and kind of jumped back and forth between, because the plot for Batman was I'm vengeance. And then by the end of it, he's I can be more. I can be more for the city than just vengeance. But that was kind of a quick turnaround that started in the beginning with vengeance, and then you don't really see it again until the end after he saves the people from the flood, and he's standing up there and he's like, oh, maybe I could change. But like the whole in between is a completely different plot. So again, I think there's two movies here that if you just separated them, you would have had better movies.
Yeah.
Yes, like save the Riddler for the second one.
Yeah, hint at him, right? Bring him in. Maybe
I guess, or maybe save the Falcone stuff for the second one. Save one of it because you do need that detective thing in this. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, okay, so I think the whole two movie thing, I don't think it definitely was two plot points that were intertwined. But I think the problem was that Falcone died, and it was like a whole nother. They just randomly launched into another plot on top of that, because like the Riddler was kind of helping in a way bring to light who the Rat was, and then that brought into pretty much all the movie, and then once he died, like that, in some way, shape, or form, that should have led to the movie ending, but then it led into, oh, that was just part of my plan. I'm really bombing the like seawall and flooding the city. Ha ha! And it's like another hour. I was like, that is so random.
And it doesn't make sense, really. Like, why is he doing this?
Right.
It makes no sense. He's like, the real problem is the mayor, and I'm going to drown her and have my crazy serial killer friends launch a huge shooting party in this Madison Square Garden. I was like,
yeah, and
Gotham Square Garden.
No, I think they called it Madison Square Garden.
They called it the Garden.
Oh, they called it the
Yeah,
Garden.
no, there was
Madison
at
Square
one
Garden.
point I distinctly remember they showed it and it said Gotham Square Garden because I thought it was going to
Gotcha.
say Madison.
But it
says
was Madison Square.
You got to come up with a new name. You can use it, and people can be like, "Oh, that's Madison Square Garden."
right.
But you got to come up. You can't call it the Garden. You just
No,
can't
you
do
can't. That's just that was really dumb.
that. You know what I bet it was actually. I bet they're like, "Hey, can we film here?" And they're like, "Yeah, but you still have to call it the Garden."
Yeah,
No, but
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because the rest of the movie with Gotham is not like I felt like in Nolan's Batman, it was maybe like Chicago or
It was Chicago and Pittsburgh.
yeah, right. So like it didn't feel like a grimy, dirty place. This Gotham looked terrifying. Like I wouldn't
Mhm.
even want to be there in the daylight on a sunny day.
I wouldn't want to be in Chicago in the daylight on a sunny day, but
So this is
either.
a
But I totally see your point.
Yeah. So bringing in anything that has like something similar to an actual city kind of pulled me out of the movie too. But yeah, I see it.
This is a tangent, but I hated that this Gotham was kind of based on New York because I do not picture Gotham as New York. Like I totally thought Nolan hit it on the head filming it in Chicago and Pittsburgh because those two cities definitely Chicago does have the most crime besides maybe New Orleans and of all the big cities in the U.S.
Maybe
like-
Detroit.
And Detroit too, like Detroit, but I don't even know if they would have been able to film in Detroit.
The Batmobile would have lost its rims and wheels.
Yeah, there wouldn't even be like they would need people in Gotham, and there wouldn't even be people like in the movie if they filmed in Detroit. But yeah, I just didn't like the whole New York aspect of this movie. New York does not feel like Gotham City, and every point of the movie where it was basically New York, I did not enjoy nearly as much as I enjoyed how Nolan did his in Chicago. It felt right. But going back to plot, that whole ending, that whole last 45 minutes to an hour was just gibberish garbage, even though we got to see more Zoe Kravitz, which made me very happy. It was very bad.
I did think it was shot well. The cinematographer, Greg Fraser, also was the cinematographer for Zero Dark 30, Rogue One, and Dune.
No kidding. Wow, he did.
Yeah.
He did do good.
Yeah.
I liked his shots.
One thing that
all right. Yes.
One thing I liked about that was that this movie kind of rhymed with Zack Snyder's movies, which I think is the right move. And I think I said that in the Justice League review that they stay on this kind of Zack Snyder vein. I think they'll get a lot of success. And I think this did follow suit in that. I think it missed in a lot of ways, but at least carried that Zack Snyder theme in this movie.
Yeah, I agree. Did we mention the fact that Batman took a shotgun shot to the chest, point blank, and was
I hated that scene.
Could they have shoot him in the face? He doesn't have anything right here. Or right here, it's leather. It's leather.
Right.
Shoot him in the face, and then Catwoman is like about to die, and he just gives himself an adrenaline shot, and then he's like, "Oh, now I'm gonna go down with all these people from this fallen thing." But he just lifts one thing up, and they're like, "Oh, can we get out?" And then they just like walk out easily. That whole scene was so bad.
So I read a thing, and this is all speculation. I don't know, and I thought it was interesting though is that I thought he injected himself with adrenaline that got him going. There's some theories out there that say it was venom, like what Bane injects himself with, and like the classic Bane, like
with like the thing attached to his head.
Yeah. So there was some theories that like that's Batman's like I'm dead, I have to move venom, which is like crazy. It's like taking meth.
I could see that because it was like at least the outside of it was like had some green to it, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot.
Just like last case scenario, my bay's about to die. I gotta take some venom real quick.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to be emo. I want to live.
Oh yeah. But no, that plot. I mean, it was okay. Yeah, I just thought it just distracted you a little bit, and maybe it was just the length. I'm with you, Jacob. I kept checking my phone. What time is it? What?
I did only check it once. I did only check it once. I
checked
can't remember exactly when it was, but there's like an hour and 15 left. I also made the mistake of staying until the credits were over. All we got was that computer screen again, and I can't even remember what it said.
Oh, really? I didn't even stay. I thought that
It
was
was a good move.
I thought that was a Marvel movie thing. I didn't know they did that for DC.
No, I mean, it's not specifically a Marvel movie thing. They're the most prominent that does it, I suppose. But it is a thing that other movies have done in the past and whatnot as well. So
another thing that I didn't appreciate within the plot was them trying to recreate I don't know. Well, I shouldn't say them trying to. I don't know if they did, but the like meeting or interrogation of Batman and Riddler, it felt like they were trying to do something in the lines of Christian Bale's interrogation of the Joker in The Dark Knight. It was so bad. Like but the whole chemistry, it comes back to Robert Pattinson. The chemistry between Batman and Riddler and that interaction, it just did not flow. It did not fit. And I think it came from Robert Pattinson because I thought Paul Dano was doing fine as a psycho serial killer Riddler. But there was just no chemistry. It was a real weird interaction. I didn't get anything from it. I didn't care. I hated that scene as well.
Yeah, I think that was his weakest part of the movie, to be honest. When he started like hitting the glass, I was like, "Why are you hitting?" Like, it pulled me out a little bit too. Yeah,
it was the worst acting in the movie for sure.
You know what? Maybe that's when I looked at my phone.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's because I'm like,
another 5 minutes after that.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Anything else before we wrap up here and give some scores?
I hope I never meet Zoe Kravitz in person because I'd probably have an aneurysm. She's gorgeous and she would hurt my soul.
Oh, yeah.
What if she gives you those cat eyes though?
Yeah, I would not be alive. It'd be certain death.
All right, people. Should we do this score thing?
Yeah.
All right. It's been a few weeks since we've done an actual movie review. I've got to pull up the aggregators. Oh, what are we doing here? How did Yahoo switch to my main browser? Does that ever happen to you guys?
No.
Where like it just randomly a different thing will become your new browser.
That doesn't happen on Macs. No, we don't have that problem.
At least it wasn't big.
Your camera doesn't work, so you have bigger problems.
That is completely fair.
Boom.
All right, from the aggregators, an 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb, an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 72 on Metacritic. Sage, you got a score for me?
8.5 on IMDb?
Yep.
That's insane. I'm pretty sure Dark Knight is like tied for one of the on IMDb at like 9. I don't know if you want to correct me if I'm wrong, but 8.5 is insane for IMDb. Like 8.5 is like, isn't Shawshank's a 9?
Let's see. Yes, The Dark Knight is a 9.1. Let's see if I can pull up that list. God, I hate how different IMDb is on their website compared to their top IMDb movies.
What's like a very highly acclaimed movie for you? Like
Endgame.
Okay. So Shawshank is at a 9.2, The Godfather 9.2, The Dark Knight 9.0, Godfather Part 2 9.0, 12 Angry Men 9.0, Schindler's List 8.9, Pulp Fiction 8.9, Return of the King 8.9. And those are the, I guess I'll do the top 10. Fellowship of the Ring 8.8, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly 8.8.
Endgame got an 8.4.
Wow. And this Batman.
So IMDb is giving this a point over Endgame, which is
The Lion King got an 8.5.
Do I think this movie is better than Endgame? No.
According to IMDb. That is crazy.
Yeah.
So that
it's early though. It's early. That will change.
That is crazy.
I can guarantee you that. Let's see how many reviews there are. There are 191,000 reviews on that. There's like, I think, close to 1 million on all these other big ones. So.
Yeah, there's 1 million on Endgame, so that should tank.
Okay.
I might go put in a review, but I think I give it a 67 out of 100. I give Zoe Kravitz and Colin Farrell like a 92 on it. I think Robert Pattinson was like a 60. 50. And then the Riddler was like 20. And then everything else. I'm so mixed on this movie. There were some really great aspects to it, and there were some great performances. And there were some really terrible aspects to it, and some bad performances. And for it not being a great movie, I put that 100% on the director and writer, which I think is the same person. So
yeah.
Matt Reeves, did not do as good as he could have with what he had.
Yeah. You said 67?
Yeah.
Okay. As of right now, after only one watch, I am at an 84. Now, I say only one watch. I don't think I'm going to go see this in the theater again. I'm going to wait until a home release or it's on streaming before I see it again.
So you can pause and pee and have it.
Yeah, exactly. A movie that I didn't necessarily love. Look, gas is expensive too. So it's not just a $12 movie ticket. It's like a couple bucks just getting to the theater. And I live right down the road. So I'm giving it an 84 right now. I'm afraid that could drop if I see it a few more times. It's another reason I don't necessarily want to see it right now. See it again. So yeah, Kale, what you got for us?
So I got an 83. Jacob was actually really hoping you were going to say 83. That would have been fun. No, I wanted to give it like closer to like an 85. I thought it was pretty good. Again, the romance, it just bugged me. I don't know why. And so I took one off for that, and for the cowl, took another one off. Maybe the fact that it took him 18 months to film this movie with the COVID break had an effect on it. Maybe he overthought it. Maybe he reshot things. I don't know, but it could have been better. I agree with both of you.
Yeah. Kale, we did do pretty much the same thing as we did on Nocturnal Animals, which was actually our last release of a movie review. I gave that an 83 and you gave it an 82. So we're still in step.
So
you guys are very same brain.
Yeah. Sage, you and I have given the same score on so many movies. You're right there with us.
No, you guys love Marvel movies.
Well,
I came into this thinking I'd give it an 85, and I changed it to an 83 well before we got here. So I'm happy with my answer. I think
another rating that's surprising is that the 4.35 on Letterboxd, which is surprising because that's like that's basically 88, 87.
Yeah, that is surprising.
That's surprising.
All right, that is an average score of 78. We currently have our Oscars contest going on. That is going to go up until the Oscars start. What you get if you win this Oscars contest, you get a Good Day for a Movie podcast hoodie. You get a digital code to the Back to the Future trilogy in 4K. Really cool stuff right there. To enter our contest, go to either our Instagram, GD4GD_movies, or go to our Twitter, GD4GD.movies. Nope, flip that. Instagram GD4GD.movies, Twitter GD4GD_movies. If you don't have social media, you can email us at gd4ampodcast@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link. You can also go into the Oscar episode. I'll probably put it in the description of this one as well. We'll include it in the description, the link to fill out your jot form on it. It's really easy. There's a lot of questions, but that's because we did every single category. So do that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can watch us talk about movies. You can, on the Oscars episode, we had visual cues to help us along the way as well. We go live on there semi frequently, about once every 4 reviews is kind of what we try to do. Anytime we have a special guest on is when we are going live for that. Also, I could not remember what the next thing was. There's so many things I say at the end now, and I don't write them down anymore. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify. And if you don't,
we'll find you with vengeance.
Zoe Kravitz will look into your eyes and you'll implode.
And if you don't do that, we'll bring tape back. And you don't want that to happen.
Please vote, all of you.
All right. We'll catch you next week at the movies. And broadcast.